The president of Blizzard called me out. Now, Max, a lot of you guys, of course, know Limit Maximum, was watching my video of Vinruki. And Quick, who is the president of Blizzard, called me out. Hopefully you guys can understand what's happening here. I'll make it a little bit easier to understand. There we go. And we're gonna play it. Here we go. You ready? Bro, people are gonna love that.
He has to have a take. Oh my god. Quick, the president of Blizzard in chat. The problem is he can't do Mythic or Heroic successfully. Oh my god. I mean, kind of true. I've only seen him do like normal raids when it comes out, and then he just like stops playing. When I hear Asmon talk a lot about retail, there's a few talking points he has where it feels like he just said them at one point, and his extremely doomer audience is going to true everything he says. And if you just have 50,000 people true you too many times, you just start really, really being confident in your bad takes about a game that you barely play. And that's what this sounds like. I mean, Quick said it the dirty way, but yeah, I mean, I need to hear the actual take.
Is that it? Because I want to make sure that I don't just like go off half-cocked. Is that it? Okay, all right, watch the full. Oh, I cannot watch the whole thing. It's gonna take forever. That's it. Okay, let's begin. I think that if you don't play the game at all, you do become out of touch. However, I think that if you play it all the time, you also become out of touch. And the truth is that if your job is playing the game, you will never understand an average player because they don't play the game as a job. And that's okay. That just makes sense. I think he's right. I don't understand the average player any better than anybody else does. I'm just putting my opinion out there. But the numbers, the data of how many people are clearing these raids is low. And it has continued to get lower every single fucking patch. Look at Sepulcher. Look at how much damage that did to the game. That's why nobody cleared the raid. It was one of the lowest clears ever. And yes, obviously, I think a percentage of that is because the jailer didn't drop anything good, for sure. But even then, I think that a lot of these things are harmful. And it's not like, I mean, how many... I'm going to give a few different examples. Gavel, oh yeah, there were a few good things from jailer, but like, I mean, there's not like tier sets, right? In the same way that there used to be, right? So... from Wrath of the Lich King to Cataclysm, there was like a dramatic difficulty increase. Like, I would say tier 11 was like twice as hard as ICC, especially with the 30% buff. Tier 11 was fucking brutal. And I remember back in my, I played on Kel'Thuzad back then. And how many of you guys all the time in Wrath of the Lich King, like original Wrath, saw GDKPs and pugs for ICC 25-man, 25-man heroic, 10-man heroic going all the time, constantly in trade chat? Yeah, I saw them constantly. I didn't, maybe you were on a small server, but on Kel'Thuzad was a pretty big server. And so there were a lot of people that were doing the raids. And whenever Cataclysm came out, all that stuff died. And all the people that I used to do GDKPs with and I used to raid with, all those people either quit the game or they just weren't, they had to like join like a super serious guild or they couldn't play. Kata was way too fucking hard. And it happened then. And I also don't think, and the subs went way down. And yes, obviously I think a lot of that's because of like, you know, like killing the Lich King, it's like the, you know, it's like the logical ending of World of Warcraft, right? You beat the Lich King, the world is saved. Obviously, it's not the case. You understand the lore, but like from most of the people's perspective, like, yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of reasons for it, sure. And like Cataclysm didn't have as much hype as Wrath, etc., etc., etc. But the point is that a lot of people quit the game after Cataclysm. And I think a big reason for that is because the raids just got too hard. The raids got way too hard, way too punishing. And if the raids also, and I don't really think this is a great argument because I think people would have done this already, but I think that definitely the difficulty acted as a force multiplier. That's whenever add-ons started getting really crazy. That's whenever people started developing like all kinds of like different like fucking UIs and shit like that. That's whenever things got way more customized. And I think the reason for that is because that's whenever the raids got a lot harder. And so the players adapted by making better add-ons. But I also don't think... So the point is that I think that the player drop from Wrath of the Lich King to Cataclysm was in part because of the difficulty of the game. And I think at that point, the game became too difficult for average players. How do I know that? I have a personal experience. My mom played Wrath. By the time Cataclysm came out, she said, fuck that, I'm not going to raid anymore. It was too hard. Straight up, it's too hard. And so anyway, there's number one. Number one is that. Number two is this. I do not think that it is a coincidence that Classic Hardcore popped off at the exact same time that Ulduar came out. I don't know. I just think it's just very interesting how that happened. The truth is that... And also look at Sepulchre, too, right? Sepulchre was insanely hard, and people didn't do it, and they hated it. I think that, like, in terms of rating, I think that Quick is, like, you know, Mike Ibarra, president of Blizzard. By the way, guys, I want to say one thing. Everybody that's going out, like, you can defend me, say whatever you want, but, like, don't take this, I don't take this personally. Bro, like, I don't care. I'm not getting my fucking feelings hurt about this. I talk shit about the game all the time. What the fuck? I don't care. I'm not gonna get my feelings hurt over this. It's just an opinion. Yeah, who gives a fuck? I'm not mad about this. But anyway, I just want to make sure you guys, you don't have to go out and defend my honor. You know, but I do think that I'm right. And I think that every bit of observable evidence that exists proves that I'm right. It proves this correlation. I do. I think that every single bit of evidence proves this correlation. And if somebody has evidence that disproves it, please present it. I would like to see it. This raid tier is pretty easy, though. What, compared to the previous retail raid tiers? That doesn't really make a good comparison, does it? So anyway, the point is that you sound like Trump. Oh, Trump would never talk about evidence. I get that you don't care, but pretty low-tier dev shit to be trash-talking major streamer, never mind as the CEO. They're not trash-talking. I trash-talk the game all the time. I said the game's for furries and femboys constantly. You think they can't say that I'm bad at the game? Get the fuck out of here. It's totally fine. I'm not gonna cry about this. What's wrong? No, it's totally fine. It's not a big deal. Like, I have a positive, like, I like Mike Ibarra. It's not like I hate the dude and it's like some kind of like a big thing. It sounds like Max. I like Max. So I don't take it personally in the same way because it's from somebody that I know. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Anyway, so the thing is that I'll go back to why I quit raiding. I quit raiding for two reasons. Number one, my stream. That was the main reason why I stopped raiding. It had nothing to do with the raid. I would have sat there and fucking wiped day after day, week after week, and it would have been no big deal. But I quit for my stream because I could see that my stream, like I was streaming for 4 hours, the raid every 4 hours, and at that point I was the guild master and I had kind of had that role put on me. And I had like kind of found a way to disperse that responsibility, but at the same time I still had to do like officer meeting after stream, and I had to mute like the stream and I had to mute my own voice, and it was just a really bad stream experience and people didn't like it. So I stopped raiding primarily because of my stream. I thought that it wasn't good stream content. I thought that it was, you know, damaging for my stream. My viewers were bored. And it was annoying to play, like it wasn't like super fun. Like Mythic Tomb of Sargeras definitely made it easier. But the truth is that if I wasn't streaming, I probably still would have raided. Would I have stopped since then? I don't know. It's like 7 years ago. What could have happened in 7 years, right? I don't know. So that's the real reason why I quit. And the reason why I don't raid now is the same reason. It's because I don't really have a lot of time to raid. And it's not even that I don't have time, it's that I don't want to invest that time into something that I feel like isn't fulfilling and it's not rewarding. Now, why do I feel like raiding isn't rewarding? The reason why is because every raid tier that comes out, all of my gear that I work towards gets invalidated completely, and then new gear comes out that's easy to get, that's better than my old gear that I worked really hard for. So every, like, basically every four months or 5 months, 6 months, whenever it's a raid tier comes out, or a season comes out, as they say now, all of my progress gets reset. And like, then I have to do the same thing over again in order to get a recolor of like a seasonal keystone mount or something like that. Now, to be fair, the gladiator mounts are great, and you know, I really like the new gladiator mounts. They're awesome, but I mean, nobody even cares enough to do it. That's why the ladder is like dead. So that's kind of one of the other big reasons, is I feel like, for example, I felt like there was a compelling reason for me to want to raid BWL, or a compelling reason for me to want to raid AQ40, because Nax was going to come out. And fuck, there was a compelling reason for me to raid Nax because tier 3 was good in Karazhan. But why would I go and raid, what's the new raid? The fucking Vault of the Incarnates, or no, I think that's the last one, whatever it is, you know, Aberrus. Why would I go and raid Aberrus whenever the next expansion or next patch is going to come out and make Aberrus irrelevant? Why would I waste my time doing that? So that's the main reason why I don't raid. It's because I feel like you're building a castle on sand that erodes every 6 months, so, and there's no lasting progression to it. I also don't raid because I don't find it fun. Now, why is raiding not fun? Well, let's talk about it. Why is raiding in WoW not fun for me? Runbacks. Needing a warlock to summon. Buffs. Rebuffs. Too much trash. So, these right here are structural problems that I have with raiding. And all of this kind of falls under the same kind of, the same umbrella as too much downtime. There is too much downtime in raiding. Like, if you go and you watch a raid, and like, you know, if you have like a super organized, you're proving his point? Well, how though? Like, because I also, like, if somebody thinks that I'm wrong about any of this, please, I'd like to hear why. I agree with too much trash. It serves no purpose. Yeah, it's just too much. It's annoying. Yukuri didn't play Ragnarok or Lineage 2 if you're complaining about needing specific classes. Well, you're right. I didn't. That's because I thought those games were bad. So if there's an element of that game that's in a game that I like, I would also think it's bad. Nobody plays Lineage or Ragnarok now. They're dead games. Nobody cares about them. So I don't want to have that happen to WoW. That's my point. So anyway, getting back to this, visibility, and these are also like, so these are like just structural problems that exist in the raid no matter what you do, right? So it doesn't matter like how good of a raid team you are, you still need a warlock if you want to summon somebody. It doesn't matter how good of a raid team you are, you still have to do the rebuffs. It doesn't matter how good of a raid team you are, you still have to do the trash. It doesn't matter how good of a raid team you are, you still have to run back. And I mean, unless like obviously you have like res protection, but like why is the res why does the res protection meta exist? Why is this meta game, why is it still in the game? It's a waste of time. You also need a bunch of add-ons? Yeah. And so, yeah, eating food. Yes, having to eat food every single attempt. There needs to be a consequence for wiping? There is. You wiped. Like, there's not a... Like, do you... I just, like... I find comments like that to be so brain dead because, like, for example, the Omega Protocol, or whatever the fuck it is in Final Fantasy, is probably harder than Mythic Sarkareth. Like, it's the new ultimate raid in Final Fantasy. It's probably harder than Mythic Sarkareth. And there are no runbacks, you don't need warlocks, you don't need to rebuff, and there's no trash. So whenever there's a fight that's harder than anything that exists in World of Warcraft in another game that doesn't have any of these problems, would you say that the people that did the harder fight didn't earn it because they didn't have to run back and summon the people into a group with a warlock? Of course not. It's ridiculous. Well, you lost time, that's a punishment. Yes, exactly, it is. And so, those are the reasons why I don't find raiding fun on a structural level. Now, this is on a personal level, okay? And why I don't raid. And also why it's not fun. I don't like feeling like I have to download a lot of add-ons. It's annoying, I don't want to do it. That's really it. I don't want to do it, it's annoying. I think visibility in raids is garbage. It's hard to see things, and it's harder because of more people. Add-ons is because of the community, though, not because of WoW. Well, WoW allows the add-ons, right? And so, like, it is because of WoW. And also, like, these are also... I'm not blaming, like, the developers. I'm not saying the developers... Actually, I mean, with the visibility, I do blame the developers. I think that, like, for example, Kel'Thuzad in Sanctum of Domination, like, you shouldn't have white swirlies under a white-blue background. Like, it's just bad. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. So... the mechanic they use over and over again? No, I think that's fine. Raid designers say that they design bosses with add-ons in mind. Well, of course they do. Also, yeah, let's see. Hard to recover from mistakes. One mistake equals wipe. Stuff like that I don't really find very fun. I don't know if the new raid has a lot of this or not. I don't know. But, you know, I'd have to play it and find out. I think there was, like, one thing with that with Sarkareth. I don't remember. Not really. You can recover from on Sarkareth Mythic a lot. Nelth is one mistake, one wipe type of boss. Well, you also have to keep in mind that, like, the guilds that can recover from mistakes like that are probably guilds that have already killed the boss. But I don't know. I'd have to look and see for it myself. But I think that's generally the case. Oh yeah, Mythic raid lockouts. This is also a structural problem. Mythic raid lockouts are stupid and vestigial. They are a old system that used to make sense 10 years ago, and now they do not. They have no purpose. They have no value. They add nothing to the game. And all they do is serve to make things more complicated, to make it harder for people to play together. Oh, also, another thing, no X-Realm Mythic raiding on day one. So yeah, I'd want to raid on day one on Mythic. Why can't I do that? Like, please give me one good reason why you shouldn't be able to Mythic raid on day one of the raid. There's no reason. Because world first, who cares? This raid tier had day one Mythic. If this raid tier had day one Mythic, then this is what Max is saying, right? And there are some things that I'm a little bit out of touch with, and I haven't played the game a lot recently. So, like, maybe they did fix this. So, like, this definitely is, we didn't have Cross-Realm day one, it took 2 months. Well, then why would somebody say that we did? What? We did? Why would somebody say that? I feel like all this was in the game before. When you loved it, what changed? I had less of a value of my time. I placed less of a value on my time. Like, I didn't mind doing this because I had nothing better to do. But now I do have things that are better to do, and I don't want to do that. It's that simple. There's so many other options, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that what they meant was that there were a Mythic Raid that came out on day 1, but not Cross-Realm. I understand now. You also raided in Final Fantasy XIV? Yes. These are the main reasons why I don't like raiding, though. Like, just structural reasons that make it not fun to play. Like, whenever I do a raid, every time that we wipe, I'm always thinking about how much time I'm wasting waiting to pull again. And the reason why I have that dichotomy in my mind is because I played Final Fantasy and Lost Ark. And Lost Ark and Final Fantasy don't have systems like that that waste your time, and World of Warcraft does. Would you honestly raid, though, if these things changed? I would probably do it more. I think that the real reason why I don't raid, personally, is because there's no reason to, because my gear gets reset all the time. Like, I don't feel like I need to catch up and stay, like, on pace with everybody else, because I just know everybody's going to get reset in, like, 6 months, and it doesn't matter. I think the main problem is number of players and guild recruitment. Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, if it was up to me, I would want to make raids either, like, make Mythic, like, 10-man, or make raids 40-man again, and make them a lot easier. Now, why is that? Well, it's because I think it's pretty cool whenever you get 40 people together, and it looks cool having, like, a big group of people doing a raid. That's the reason. That's literally it. I think it's cool, like, whenever you do, like, Classic WoW and, like, there's everybody there and it's, like, an actual fucking, you know, raid of people rather than just, like, a group. Yeah, it's a sense, and like, I don't know, like, there's not, like, organize that shit? Yeah, but, like, it would be easier to organize if you didn't have to hyper-vet every single person through 17 different add-ons and 5 different levels of experience, because there's, like, 7 different fucking debuffs that you can get in the raid that will wipe the whole raid if you don't know what to do with them. So, I actually think that the reason... So, the harder... This is very, very simple logic, right? Is that the harder that you punish players, the harder players will try to not be punished. What does that mean in terms of raiding? It means that because the raids are extremely punishing, players are even more gatekeepy than they would be naturally, because they don't want to get killed by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. This is what's happened with Lost Ark, too. Difficulty does not make a game fun, it makes it unfun. Difficulty and fun are 2 different spectrums. Like, a game can be very difficult and it can be very fun, and a game can be very easy and it can be very fun. It's really, I mean, it's really common sense. The harder the game punishes failure, the harder players punish each other, leading to toxicity. Yeah, and also the harder players try to proactively not be punished for that failure by avoiding certain cases of that happening. So, but can't you dynamically choose to play with 10 players on the highest raid difficulty? No, you can't. And also, here's another thing, right? Is that, I do think that Mythic raids are too hard now. I do. I think they're too hard. And I can do them. Of course I can do them. Sure. But I'm not an average player. Like, I played the game for 15 years. Or more than that now. I played the game for fucking 18 years. You guys can cap it all. I mean, it's not like it takes, like, some sort of, like, divine level of skill, right? To be able to just hit your buttons on a rotation and listen to the add-on callouts. Like, there's a lot of people that Mythic raid. Yeah, I mean, but why? Why would you do that? I don't want to. You can't do Heroic properly? Well, why would I care? Why would I care to do Heroic properly? What is my motivation to raid Heroic and to do it? Because, in my opinion, Mythic raiding is the only thing that's worthwhile. Because Heroic raiding is more work for less reward. because you're going to get worse gear than Mythic 20s. And that's why. I mean, actually, I was going to say why. That's why. So, like, Mythic Plus is easier. Mythic 20 is easier whenever you average in, like, the longitude, or fucking the logistical challenges of getting a raid together and the annoyance of it. And also the fact that, like, you usually can just, like, get no gear. You know, you don't have bonus rolls anymore or anything. So it's like, what am I doing? Clock in, buddy, time to raid. And that's also another reason why I don't want to raid, is like, I don't want to lock my time in on a certain day. Because what if something comes up that day that I don't want to, I'm not able to do it. So Mythic Plus is way more personal responsibility. It is way more personal responsibility. You're absolutely right. But it's averaged out by having such a much lower barrier to entry that it actually becomes easier to do than raiding. And also, the rewards that you get from Mythic Plus, especially from the end of the week, are incredibly fucking good. And it's by far a better long-term investment of time to Mythic Plus raid than Heroic raid. Or Mythic Plus, like, just do dungeons, right? So yeah, Mythic Plus is 30 minutes, exactly. It's not skill, it's time commitment. Well, I think that, like, you have to have, like, a level of skill in order to Mythic raid, but I don't think that that level of skill is particularly high. And to the extent that it is high, there are add-ons that make it lower. And there are a lot of add-ons that make it lower. And also, there are plenty of people that Mythic raid, and they're not, like, in the top 50 guilds, but they're going to get cutting edge, and they might get it this week. And I bet people in that raid are garbage. Literal dog shit. But they're going to be Mythic Raiders. They're going to get Mythic Sarkareth down. So there's plenty of people that Mythic Raid that are trash. So what happened to It's Too Hard? Well, it's very simple. It's too hard for an average player. Does that make sense? So I think that the average players in WoW are actually legit garbage. Because this is what I think has happened over the course of time with WoW. Is that the raids have evolved and gotten harder as a response to the player base getting better. But in the same way that the player base gets better over time, the new players don't get better over time. Because the new players only have 3 months of experience, and every single new player also has 3 months of experience. So whenever a new player comes into the game and they try to do the raid and they're just hit with this fucking massive wall that they have to overcome of, like, add-ons, fucking game knowledge, rotations, procs, UI, weak auras, like all this shit, and you know, like planning and like enchants and just like all this stuff. Like, you go into that, it's just overwhelming, right? And I think that people don't raid because of that. I think there's a lot of people that, you know, WoW just kind of doesn't attract for that reason. It's too complex. Yeah, it's too complex. There's way too much to learn, and it happens all at once. That shit happened back in BC Original? No, it didn't. BC was pretty easy. It was harder than Classic, to be fair, though. It definitely was. But anyway, what I'm really trying to get at here is that a lot of the people that are raiding, like, they raid because they like raiding or they like being in a raid team or something like that. I think that most people nowadays, like, I don't think that you have to be like a god of the game to raid. You just have to do it. The biggest separator between people that do Mythic and people that don't is availability. There are a lot of people that could raid, but they don't have the time to devote 3 or 2 or 4 days a week to raiding. Especially on a schedule. Like, it's one thing to just do it whenever you want for 4 hours, but it's another thing to have to do it on Tuesday at 8 p.m. And that's the difference. So I think also, like, and this ties back into, like, the logistical challenges of WoW. Is that whenever I watch raids in WoW, almost half of the time whenever I'm watching a raid is spent not raiding. You're just running back, or you're rebuffing, or you're summoning somebody in. So whenever you do a 4-hour raid, you're actually just doing a 2-hour raid. Most time is waiting. Yes, most time is waiting. Like, it's insane. And that's also, like, and keep in mind that you can say, yeah, but if you're in a really good guild, most people aren't in really good guilds. Most people aren't doing this. So whenever the system is bad for the average person, for just just a normal person, like, hey, I want to do a raid. Oh, we don't have a warlock. Okay, well, let's go waste 10 minutes because the game is designed this way. Why don't we talk about the drops of the raid, needing to raid for months to get your best in slot item, or multiple of them even? I don't even think that's an issue as much right now. What keeps you from starting again is that every patch brings a new farm, and if you're behind 2 patches, you've got a lot of catching up to do. Oh, you're never going to be behind 2 patches because every patch resets your progress, basically. Everyone should be able to summon, or at least more classes. This is what I think Blizzard should do. I think they should remove 80% of the trash from raids, and they should add a summoning stone right next to every single boss arena, and next to the summoning stone there should be a respawn point that if you die to that boss, you respawn at that point. They should just hotfix that in tomorrow, and it would instantly make the game better. It would make the game better for every single person that raids. Yeah, more Statues of America, exactly. Then they'll remove BOEs from raids. Who cares? So raids need to be bad so BOEs can drop from trash mobs? Like, what the fuck? No. Just like New World? I don't know about New World. You do have to run back for New World into dungeons. I haven't done a New World raid. I think it's Final Fantasy is like this, and it's a lot better. Have you seen the new Mega Dungeon? I think they're testing to solve some of these problems. What do you need to test? I don't understand. Like, why do you need to test anything? Like, what is there to test? Like, there have been multiple games that do the exact same thing. Just make it to where you respawn in front of the boss that you die to. Like, what the fuck do you need to test? How many years do you have to test this out? And also, like, I don't... Like, anytime Blizzard says that they have to test and figure something out, I always just assume that it's because they have no fucking idea what they're doing. Because if they did, they wouldn't have had Diablo 4 turn out the way it did. That's just the truth. I think the people that run the game are fucking clowns. I do. I think they're clowns. I think they're totally incompetent. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't have completely fucked up with Diablo 4. And I think also World of Warcraft is the same thing. How can you possibly think that it's a good idea to have spell effects that are the same color as the ground? What? How can you, like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's just the stupidest thing I can ever imagine. Like, how is it that it's been like fucking 4 years, 5 years that, like, you know, Final Fantasy has gotten popular, Lost Ark has gotten popular, and you're still making people run back to boss fights, eat food every pull, buff every pull, and summon people that aren't there, and there's this fucking run back res protection metagame that can just waste 10 minutes of your time if one person does it wrong. It's just such a stupid fucking way to design a game. And yeah, I think they have no idea what they're doing. It's embarrassing. They should have done this in Legion. Let's just have a training dummy simulator like Lost Ark. You think Lost Ark raids are a training dummy simulator? I can guarantee you fucking hard mode Belshazzar is harder than anything you've ever done in WoW. Can guarantee you that. It's because those other games spoiled you on ease of access. Running back and buffing is literally WoW. No, it's not. Having to level up was literally WoW, and then they just added a boost, and now it's not WoW anymore. So that's actually not true. Like, you think if they, like, if they added a summon stone to every raid boss, like, it wouldn't be WoW anymore? Like, okay, fine. I don't want to play WoW anymore. It's just stupid, and you're right. The ease of access did make me go back to WoW and say, why am I wasting my time with this garbage? Why am I letting this video game waste hours of my time because of bad logistics? Raid starts at Q-Pops, your end would be heaven. Well, I think that you could summon people to a raid or something like that. That's not a big deal. But like having to do it for every boss, that's way too much, man. What a great argument. WoW has always been bad. Why make it good now? Yep, there we go. Time waster simps Unreal. There's a lot of people that play MMOs that take pride in having their time wasted by developers. It's sad. It really is. But those are the reasons why I stopped raiding. And also, I think that The idea that I can't do mythic raiding, I can't do heroic raiding, I think that it's much more fair to say that I don't want to. I don't think it's worth my time. And if I look at the statistics on Warcraft logs, it seems like most other people agree with me as well. That's why the Sunwell raid progression and the amount of raid logs was like 10x the amount of people that were raiding in Sepulchre, in Shadowlands. So I don't know what to say. I mean, like, literally every single metric and piece of data proves what I'm saying. And these are just facts. These are, and again, like, is my conclusion on this data wrong? Why is it wrong? What's the evidence of it being wrong? Because I think that, like, whenever you have this many different correlations and the same thing happens in every single one of them, that's the reason why it happens. People can say I'm wrong all they want. They can say that I'm bad at the game all they want. It doesn't matter. Because it doesn't make what I'm saying any less true. And if I was bad at the game, wouldn't that kind of be a good example? That somebody who played the game for 15 years can't even keep up with it anymore? You see what I'm saying? That's crazy. So I'll read a few comments. You're just getting old? Well, I am. And I am getting old. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have other things I need to do. And also, like, it's about self-respect. I don't want to have my time wasted by garbage. I could just play something else that doesn't waste my time. I'll read a few more comments and then we'll move on. But yeah, I don't take any of this personally, but I think that no matter how many people make, you know, comments about me or anything like that, it's not going to change the fact that I'm right. And every single bit of observable data proves that. Because I make my opinions, I try my best. I really do. I try my best to have my opinions be in line with actual fucking data. I really do. And if the data doesn't agree with my opinion, then my opinion is probably fucking wrong. Like, I don't think WoW is doing very well as a game. I don't. If I go and I look at how many people are playing World of Warcraft, they're Towley. Okay, there we go. Towley is playing. Oh, apparently there's drops for WoW, so a lot of people are going to be playing for that reason. This is a bit of a different situation. Let's see. Most people aren't even playing retail WoW. They're playing hardcore. The videos about WoW don't even get a lot of views. Nobody gives a shit about the game. You're a battle pet, transmog mount farmer, not a real raider. Stop trying to critique a game you don't play. Well, don't you think that means that my opinion matters more? Because I'm the kind of person that would play, but I stopped playing? Because, like, I'm not, like, how can you ever grow a game if you can't attract people that are new? And also, like, if people are quitting the game, don't you want to know why they're quitting the game? Of course you do. Blizzard does even. That's why they send out surveys to people whenever you cancel your subscription, asking why you're canceling your subscription. It's because it's important information. Like, and again, that's what I'm saying, right? Is that all of the critiques on what I'm saying about the game are not critiques about what I'm saying. They're critiques of me. They're saying, you're bad. They're saying, you don't raid. What about what I'm saying? What about the argument that I'm putting forward? Is the argument that I am making true or not? Because and am I crazy? Like, every single person who's tried to counter what I'm saying, it's all just a personal attack. There are no actual arguments against what I'm saying. There are just personal attacks that try to discredit me because, and I'll tell you why. The reason, you want to know why? It's because I'm right. Because if people could directly counter what I'm saying, they would. But they can't do that, so they just say I'm bad instead because it's the next best thing.